idea came, not idea, but I got into it about 10 years ago when I realized that the BTech students that we get at IIT Kanpur, they really lack in the feel of the subject. Okay, they do analysis, mathematical analysis, equation solving, and this and that problem solving, but that feel of what they are doing is lacking. That we realized teaching this 101, 102, 103 courses, and we still do that. And that is where it came to us that we should do some work at +2 level or at high school level or at middle school level, so that science is actually felt. Doing equations, doing mathematical analysis, all those things are very much there, but then one should have a feel of it. So I have about, I think, about 35 minutes. Okay. No, it's an extended session, so cannot extend much more than that. Now, this is an operators that we have made. All three can be opened. This we call in our group Joshi Ji Ka Danda. And why do we call it Joshi Ji Ka Danda? There was one Joshi Ji from BARC who came to our center 7-8 years ago, and he was showing some experiments. He was doing something, and there was a rod like this, pipe like this, with which he was doing the experiments. And from there we got this idea, and so we know it as Joshi Ji Ka Danda. Someone has to volunteer, please come. You had been talking of angular momentum and torque and many things. So please come this side, face the audience. You just hold it so that this remains horizontal. Okay, so hold it, yeah, comfortably, right? Now I put this, put something more in it. Yeah, I put some weight on this rod. Okay. Now let us say that the entire weight, okay, let me do one more thing. Can you tell me how much is this? How many kgs? 3 kgs. All right, let's take views. How many kgs? 4, 5. All right, so 3, 4, 5. 5 kg. 2 kg. 2 kg. 1 kg. 1 kg. डेढ़ दो. So that's where I say that the feel is lacking. We are doing lots of algebra, we are doing lots of numbers, we are playing with numbers, but how familiar we are with the actual things. So it varies from 1 kg to 5 kg. My estimate would be around 1.5 or so, my estimate. All right, suppose it is 2 kg. Okay, let's take somewhere near the mean. And this is quite light as compared to this. Now, sir, tell me, this is, let's say, 2 kg, okay? How much force you are applying with your hands on this system? How many newtons of force you are applying by your hands on this system?
To keep it, to lift it.
Oh, at this moment, how much force you are applying? 2 newtons? 2 newtons, okay? Yeah?
So it is 2 times the 2 kg.
Give me how many newtons?
Newton. The distance is about, let's say, 1 meter. So it is 2 times 1 times 10.
Okay. Which distance is 1 meter?
From here,
From which distance you can leave your hand? Which distance?
this distance.
From this point to
Yeah, this point.
this point
Yeah.
is 1 meter.
Roughly.
And therefore it is 1 into 2 into 10, that is 20 newtons. Okay? Right? Okay, thank you. Now, So thank you very much for this much of support. Please come. Same question. Hold it, keep this horizontal. How much force you are applying through your hands? This is 2 kg, this whole thing is 2 kg. 4 newtons. How do you get that? How do you get that number 4 Newton?
From the distance.
From the distance. Okay. Now, be here. Now, let me put some questions. You have done Newton's first law. What is that? Newton's first law, what is that? If something is in equilibrium,
Yes.
is this in equilibrium? No? When you are holding it, is this in equilibrium? Oh, sorry. Saved. You are saved. Okay, keep it horizontal. I told you keep it horizontal. So, is this in equilibrium this time? Right?
Yes.
Okay. What are the forces acting on this system? The external forces acting on this system? And who are exerting those forces? Huh? Mass. The mass is exerting the force? Is mass exerting the force? Gravity, earth. All right. How much? How many newtons? 20 newtons. And what other forces are there? From the hands. Okay. And if it is in equilibrium, the net force should be 0. So if earth is exerting a force of 20 newtons downward and you are exerting some force, and if that keeps it in equilibrium, then how much force you are applying?
10. 10 for it.
10 plus 10. Total 20. Right? Now suppose this is not horizontal, it is at some angle 30 degrees. Keep it here. Now how much force you are applying? More than 20, less than 20, equal to 20? More or less? Less. More or less? Is equal to 20. More or less or equal? Less. Same. Equal. Less or more? Less than 20. Equal. Equal. Can't say. Fourth option. None of the above. So, again go through the same logic. Okay. Again go through the same logic. Is it in equilibrium? It's not in equilibrium. Is it accelerated? Any part moving? If no part is moving, then why it is not in equilibrium? It is in equilibrium, all right? And therefore the net force should be 0. Okay? So, and is the earth attracting with the same 20 newtons or less than 20 newtons or more than 20 newtons? Same. And therefore I am also applying the same 20 newtons, all right? Now someone else, please sir, please come. Yeah, please. Hold it in horizontal direction. Okay? So you are applying 20 newtons upward. Yeah, like this. So you are applying 20 newtons on this. Keep it horizontal, okay? Are you applying more than 20, less than 20, equal to 20? More than 20. Go through the same logic. Newton's first law is, if something is in equilibrium, the net force on it should be 0. Is this in equilibrium at this moment? What are the forces the earth is attracting? Downwards. By how much force? 20 newtons. And you are applying an upward force from here. Right? These are the only two things, earth and your hands. And this is in equilibrium. Therefore, the net force should be 0. So, how much force you are applying?
20 meters. Same.
No, then I am not asking that question. I am not asking that question. How much force you are applying? And you are applying at the same place. You have not changed the place also. Okay? Now, sir? Sir? More than 20?
Yes.
Yes. But Newton's law is that if something is in equilibrium, the total force should be 0. And if Earth is not changing its force, how can you change your force? You are still applying 20 newtons. Don't do some kind of an acting that it's harder or something. It's the same force that you are applying. Keep it horizontal, sir. Keep it horizontal. Keep it horizontal. You only have to apply 20 newtons, not more than that. You only have to apply 20 newtons, not more than that. Keep it horizontal.
You have to change the position.
But why?
It is same as good
Please.
as a person carrying a load on his head.
No, don't give me another examples. Don't give me other examples. So what? Does Newton's law talk about, first law talk about line of action? Right? You find the flaw. Newton's first law is, if something is in equilibrium, the total net force is equal to 0. Now, whether I keep it here or I keep it here, if I am able to keep it in equilibrium, horizontal or not in any position, but in equilibrium, okay, the total force should be 0. Gravity is only 20 newtons, so I have to apply only 20 newtons upward. If apply more than that, it will fly up. Right? So, independent of the position of this bag, we always apply 20 newtons. Then why it is harder? Why it is more difficult? Why our face gets strained when the bag is away from that center? After all, I have to apply only that same 20 newtons, 10 newtons here and 10 newtons there. Okay, center of gravity, center of mass has gone there, but how does my hand knows about that? My hand only knows how much how much push I have to give or how much strain I have to give to my muscles to apply 20 newtons. Okay, center of mass there or there or there, as long as I have to apply 20 newtons, is the same kinds of deformations that should take place in my muscles. Yeah. Fine. The torque is there. What is torque? Torque is a mathematical construction. See, physical thing is, I am applying a force means, I am somehow straining, stretching all my skin here and this and that, right? Okay? Then you say torque. Then as Ishant was saying, as for angular momentum, torque is also about a point. Yeah, the same force and the same system. You ask me what is the torque? If I take the point 10 meters away, the torque will be very high. So that's only a mathematical construction. The physical thing is that yes, I am doing some work here, somehow I am straining my hands, my skins and so on, and therefore I am generating that 10 newtons or 20 newtons of force. That is not changing. Yeah, him? Yeah, please.
So when we hold in this way, and when we try to keep it in this orientation, some friction is also playing some role, friction between this surface and surface of my hand,
Okay.
and that friction is not independent of position of mass.
Okay.
So as I shift mass, friction between these two surfaces
Okay.
is changed, and so it becomes difficult for me to generate more friction.
Okay. But friction,
Reflected on the face.
all right. Now the friction will be around this, right? Will be around this. Here it will be in this direction.
Actually, it is not question of lifting it,
Huh.
it is question of holding it in particular orientation.
Okay. All right. So other things are there. The gravity is there. Yes, my total force has to be 20 newtons. But it's not force at one single point or two points. It's distributed. It's distributed. At least you have to, suppose I'm just holding it this way. Look at this. If I just want to keep your pen or something in your hand in horizontal position, With one point contact, can you do it? Either I say that this point contact should not be the only this point contact. Can you hold it there? Only at the CG, right? But here it's not. So what I am doing again the total force that is there by my hand is equal to the weight of this object. But this total is resultant of two forces, one upward and one downward. Although I have to apply a net upward force, I have to apply two forces, one upward, see, and one downward, correct? And the resultant of this is equal to the weight. That same thing is there also. We have to apply forces only from the bottom. If I try to apply upward force of 20 newtons, I cannot hold it. Suppose I put this bag here and I say that I will not put my hands on the upper surface. Leave it. I will not put my hand on the upper surface, only on the lower surface. Can I hold it? And if I am putting my hand on the upper surface, that means I am pushing this rod down. I have to apply an upward force, but I am forced to apply also a force in the downward direction. Otherwise, what is the need of putting my hand here? Right? So essentially, other things are there, but essentially, I am applying a downward force from the top. I am applying a upward force from the bottom, and the resultant is 20 newtons.
Sir, can you compare this with the two fingers?
Huh?
Here line of action is same. Here and here, both are on the same line, whereas when I am holding from this point, with two different fingers at two different points, I have two different line of force.
Yeah.
Can we compare this?
You can always compare. The comparison can be good, can be very good, can be very, very good, or may not be that good, but you can always compare. So essentially, you are doing this. In fact, here also, if I am strong enough, I can hold it just by two contacts. Correct? Now it's closer to that example. Okay? It's closer to that example. Now here is the axis of rotation. This line is the axis of rotation about which it is trying to rotate. And our forces that we are applying from here, those forces are creating torques and other things. I will not go into that analysis. The thing is, why it becomes more difficult for me? Because that same resultant 20 newtons, to create that same resultant 20 newtons, when the bag is away, the individual forces, the upward force, the downward force, the individual forces, that goes high. But the resultant remains 20 newtons. But those individual forces, they go high, and that is why it becomes more difficult. Now this is an age-old experiment. We are not developing any fancy experiments. We are doing with the usual known type of things, but we want to emphasize on the analysis part of it, discussion part of it, the understanding part of it. So you know this experiment? But complete. You know this experiment? Inverting. All right? And after that, leave it. It will not fall. Of course, I can always make it fall. But the skill is not to allow it to fall. Yes, it doesn't fall. Right? Now, what is the analysis? What is the reason why it does not fall? Atmospheric pressure. Thrust, yeah, atmospheric pressure into area is the thrust. It is because the atmosphere from below is pushing it up. But the water in the glass, in this tumbler, is pushing it down. If I am thinking of this coaster, this lid, the water in this glass is pushing it down. So how are you sure that this water is pushing with much lesser force than the atmosphere from below? I'm sure everyone must have done this experiment for fun, right? I did it the first time 50 years ago when I was in class 6 or 7. So, how are you sure that the pressure from inside is less than pressure from outside? That I know. Okay, he says because it doesn't fall. Correct. Right? It doesn't fall. That means the pressure from inside has to be less because it also has a weight. So pressure from inside has to be less and pressure from outside has to be large. But how that pressure was created? Or in other words, correct. Outside air is pushing it in the
One
in one
direction.
direction,
But inside that
inside water is pushing it
in all direction.
in all directions.
So that's why the inside the force is less and outside the force is more.
Okay. So if I
Because of
understand
ST.
you, since there is a glass boundary,
Yeah.
so the water inside, it has to push the walls also, and therefore it is not able to push that lid that hard. Isn't that?
Yes, I think.
So, if you have a tube, small tube, and if you have a big diameter jar, and water is filled at the same height. Suppose you have two, one is a tube of say 1 centimeter diameter, and other is a jar of say 10 centimeter diameters. So here the walls are too far away, here the walls are very close. And in both of them you fill the water at, up to the same height, say 15 centimeter. At the bottom of the two vessels, will you have different pressures? But here it has to push the walls also, and there are so many walls so close to it. In the bigger one, of course, the walls are quite far away, and therefore the force should be more on the bottom. The pressure is it depends on the height, not what it is there, what solid objects are there. If the height open to the atmosphere, and then if you have a height h, the pressure is h times rho times g plus the atmospheric pressure.
So one related question is, if we repeat this experiment with different height of water, then also result remains same. Whereas outer pressure is still atmospheric pressure.
Right.
When we change
Right.
quantity of water,
Correct.
inner
Correct.
height
Correct.
result is same.
Correct.
So there is some
Okay. So we can give you more input data to analyze this situation. This hole to fill it up to brim was not necessary. Even if I put this much of water and then invert it and skillfully remove the fingers. That way I said skillfully. All right. It did stay for some time, few seconds. Did it? The book says that it must be filled up to the brim. Not a single bubble of air is allowed. Okay? This much time is enough? Because handling and shaking and all those disturbances are there, but this much time was enough? Okay. Time is decreasing because of the, okay, this is an observation. This is an observation. This is called observation. If I am taking less water, then the time is decreasing. All right. Okay. Now the time has increased. Now the time has increased. All right. One thing is the water is very hot. And that affects the chances of staying in equilibrium. Colder water, it will be easier to hold. Okay. That's another input I can give. So the question remains, at what stage, let's think of that full, complete filling of this tumbler. At what stage the pressure inside went less? What is the pressure now? Pressure of air here? What is the pressure at the top? What is the pressure here? More than, less than, equal to atmospheric pressure? More here, more here. Everywhere in the water, the pressure is more than atmospheric pressure. Correct? I put the lid. What happens to pressure now? Decreases, remains the same? Increases? Remains the same. By putting this lid here, the pressure is not affected. All right? So, at this moment, the pressure of water inside, everywhere, is more than atmospheric pressure. Okay? Inverted. By inverting, do I decrease the pressure? Same volume, same water. So, now also the pressure everywhere inside is more than atmospheric pressure. Then how come it stays in equilibrium? If the pressure of water is everywhere is more than atmospheric pressure, and from outside it is only atmospheric pressure. Pardon? So at what stage it decreases? This is atmospheric pressure. This is atmospheric pressure. More than atmospheric pressure. More than atmospheric pressure everywhere. At this stage it decreases. Air gap? So if I have not completely filled up, that's why you are saying, right? So let me do that. I can do that. Absolutely no air bubble. Because inside the water I put the lid, I inverted, everything I did inside the water. Okay? So no atmospheric pressure, no air inside. Still it can stay there. It's too hot water and I have. So that's not the case. So by inverting, why should the pressure go down? So from here, several serious questions may emerge. How the pressure is generated? If I have to investigate this, by inverting, is pressure going down? At some stage it has to go down. It's an observation that that lid stays. So from inside the pressure should be less, from outside it should be more. And outside it is atmospheric pressure, no chance of tampering with that. So inside it should go below atmospheric pressure. But when we started, it was more than atmospheric pressure. So at what stage it is decreasing? One option or one, suspect is that inversion. Is inversion creating a lowering of pressure? If you want to answer that, you will have to go into how pressures are generated. Right? From there you can go into the kinetic theory and the momentum transfer. When it hits, then it exerts forces and this and that, and from there you can think whether the inversion will decrease the pressure or not. Adhesive forces, that is the surface tension force, right? Adhesive force, that is at the boundary. True. But okay, can we, in SI unit, what is the surface tension of water? Anyone remembers? 0.10 to the power minus 2, around 10 to the power minus 2, into the length of that periphery. What would be the diameter, what would be the periphery of this tumbler? How many centimeters? Huh? 10 centimeters periphery? More than. Okay. Around 12. Take 20, all right, 20 centimeters. 0.2 meters. 20 centimeters is 0.2 meters. So the total force that can be there from surface tension, that adhesion, could be 10 power minus 2 into 0.2, that's 10 power minus 3 newtons, millinewtons. That millinewtons will not do much harm to our setup. Of course, it has a big role. This surface tension has a big role in this experiment, but not to provide a vertical force. What happens? When you invert, in inversion nothing happens. Inversion will not decrease pressure. But when you remove the finger, that time the force from inside was indeed more than the force from outside, because the pressure inside everywhere was more than atmospheric pressure. So at the bottom, just above the lid, the water pressure was more than atmospheric pressure, and therefore this lid comes down. It does come down, but when it comes down through very small height, say a few microns perhaps, that expansion lowers the pressure. So it is the stage where I am removing the finger and it's trying to come down, and it does come down through a small height. And in that period, you say that water is incompressible and all those things, but indeed it is compressible, all right? And the pressure depends on the density. And if I say that there is a water in this tumbler and the pressure of water here is less and pressure of water here is more, H rho g more, what is the difference between this water and this water? Then how come it can create more pressure and this can create less pressure? If this water here and this water here, if everything is same, then why here pressure is less and the pressure is more here? So it is compressible, and the density here is more. See, the pressure depends on how many molecules are hitting per centimeter square with what speed, how much is the energy transfer, momentum transfer, rate of change of momentum, and so on and so forth. From there pressure is calculated. So if pressure is more, either the heating is faster, and that will happen only if the temperature is more, or the number of hits are larger, that will happen if the density is more. So if the pressure here is more and pressure here is less, the density here should be more and the density here should be less. Okay, indeed it is compressible. Of course, a very minute change in density can create a lot of pressure change, visible pressure changes, and that minute change in density may not be visible through our apparatus and all those things. But one has to think of these things if you want to get the answer of that. And that is where these small experiments have lots of potential to raise new questions, to come out with newer projects, to do a deeper analysis. Then you go into modeling on how this pressure is depending on density. It could be a good project. It could be a good modeling question. Yeah, him.
One more question here is, if we insert points from other flows, right, then water has chance to come out, but it doesn't.
Yeah, we know that. हाँ, अच्छा अभी डाल नहीं है, आप प्रिपेयर करो, तब तक मैं कुछ और खेल तमाशे करता हूँ. I have a magnet. Of course, it was all mechanics. I thought I will talk more on mechanics because this workshop is on mechanics. But there are some things which are very interesting. Here is a magnet and a ball bearing, right? It stays at the center of the pole face. Try to put it near a corner, near the edge, near the periphery. हाँ? नहीं आता है? right? It will only stay at the center of this full face. It's just a magnet with a plain face, pole face, and there's a ball bearing. And ball bearing will just stay here at the center. Okay, so if you can see it, this is the pole face, and this ball bearing will only stay at the middle. You try to bring it on side and it will go to the center. Put two of them and then see what happens. Or the smaller one perhaps will be better. This is a smaller ball bearing, one ball bearing at the face. Just see how it stays. Right? It stays at the middle of the pole face. Okay, can see it? Now I put another one. And now try to put at the center. Try to put both at the center. So this is how, once you put two of them, then none will come to the center. When it is one, it is at the center. When it is two, then if you try to put both of them at the center, they will fly apart. Analyze. These are the kind of questions you should put to your students. First you have to solve it, of course. So instead of looking at the problem sets of Griffiths or some other Jackson or other books, why can't we do these type of problems in the class? You can do art with this. Together with science, you can also do some art. How does it look like? How does it look like? Mickey Mouse. No, you can give a problem. Why it is stable in this configuration? How magnetic fields are generated? Why the energy is minimum? Where are those induced? These are ball bearings. They are not magnets. They are magnetized because of the magnetic field. So all sorts of problems can be created out of this kind of configuration. What configurations it can take? Looks nice? Looks nice? No, two only, but on one side. Okay? So classroom teaching can be made much more attractive, absorbing, and still lot of serious physics can be done from it. Right? Okay, I think we have done enough. All right. Where is the boundary? Where is the boundary? Almost mix हो गया. Almost mix हो गया. क्या चीज़? नहीं रहने दो बस काफ़ी हो गया है. Enough. One more question I will leave, and then this will be. Here is a matchbox and here is a coin. Put the matchbox here. Our old Matchbox coin experiment. So it is between the cover and the drawer, right? Here. Here I am putting, and then I keep it at this level, hold it here, and tap the matchbox. All right, the coin comes up. Now tell me, why did the coin come up? Newton's third law. Huh? Third law. Third law. Third law. What is Newton's third law? Wherever action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. So if I teach you, you will also teach me. Is that Newton's third law? Is that Newton's third law? Action and reaction are equal. They say it is equal and opposite. That means these are measurable quantities. Then only you can say action and reaction are equal and opposite. So it cannot be event, right? Oh, since I abused you, therefore you beat me up. This is not Newton's third law. These are not events. These action-reaction things are forces. These are forces. If A exerts force on B, then B exerts force on. These two forces are equal in magnitude and opposite direction. Now, if it is Newton's third law, tell me which force you are saying action. Which force? Applied by finger on matchbox. The reaction would be the force by the matchbox on my finger. The coin does not come into picture. Okay? I am not touching the coin. I am not applying force on coin. So where is Newton's third law? I am applying force on the matchbox, matchbox applying force on my finger, and I feel it. If I do it for quite some time, I feel some irritation here. That is because of that reaction. Coin doesn't come into picture. So you find out from all your differential equations and other things, modeling, why this coin comes up. My problem is why this coin comes up when I am tapping. Okay? That's all? Enough? So the message is try to innovate new problems, new situations, and use your equations, use your theory, use your conservation laws, whatever, in such familiar daily life type of situations. And it has a huge potential of doing serious physics. Thank you.